Hi, my name is Esther, and I'm an ambassador for the Parkinson's Foundation, and I'm also a person living with Parkinson's. All this fall, the Parkinson's Foundation is spearheading a new initiative called the Hospital Care Challenge, in which we challenge people with Parkinson's to share their experiences as patients in hospitals. I am going to share another story that was shared with me from someone who has Parkinson's that has given me permission to share it. And I want to remind everyone that although this is not my story, it easily could be. This happened in July of 2022. I was in the lobby at the hotel eating breakfast with my mom, and I started to get real hot and things started to go dark. That's all I remember. Next thing I know, I was sitting in a chair, sweaty and not knowing what happened to me. I had passed out in the hotel lobby. The EMS were called and I was transported to the hospital. On the way there, apparently my heart rate was low and my blood pressure was really low. They also kept asking me if my blood pressure always ran low. And I don't know why, because no other doctors had ever had an issue with my blood pressure. So they gave me atropine. Got to the ER, they ran some tests, I had an EKG done and an echocardiogram, and I was told that my potassium levels were really low. Everything else was fine. So they gave me potassium through an IV, and I had to take 4 pills as well. I had a cardiologist come in and talk to us, and he said that it was probably my potassium levels that caused my low heart rate and low blood pressure. But they were also unsure as to why my potassium levels were so low. He also said I'd be okay to leave. But the ER doctor wouldn't allow me to leave, and she said that my potassium levels weren't that low, so it had nothing to do with the reason why my heart rate was low. I wanted to leave, but I'd have to leave against medical advice, and was told that my insurance wouldn't cover any of the expenses. So I ended up staying overnight. I had no other issues and my potassium levels stayed normal. I was hooked up on the cardiac monitors all night and nothing happened. My blood pressure stayed stable and I felt fine. Also, while I was there, I kept telling them, as well as my daughter and mother, that I needed to take my medications. It felt as if they were withholding my meds until I agreed to stay. They kept telling us they couldn't give them to me until they got the information from my doctor's office, and that I couldn't take my pills I had with me, and that my own pills weren't even allowed in the room with me. Once I agreed to stay, they gave me my pills almost immediately. By that time, I'd missed 2 doses of medication, so I was not doing good in terms of my tremors and speech. So I'm getting 2 different stories from 2 separate doctors. One doctor saying my potassium wasn't that low to cause my heart rate to be the way it was, and the other doctor, a cardiologist, telling me that it was the low potassium that caused my blood pressure to be so low. So who do you believe? Also, if these doctors were so worried about my heart, then how come every time I was taking off the monitor to use the restroom, it took them an hour to come back and hook me back up? Or why was I even allowed to go to the restroom by myself until they unhooked me?